Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's enough to make Lady Liberty herself pack her bags and move to Antarctica. Countries are tightening borders and ramping up deportations of undocumented immigrants. Immigration is as nuanced as a 12-tiered wedding cake of bureaucracy and red tape. Behind those layers are real people with real lives. In 2025, many are being told to leave. Buckle up as we examine 15 countries intensifying deportations. Let's start with the supposed land of opportunity, shall we? Built on the backs of immigrants. The Trump administration has doubled down on aggressive deportation policies. ICE agents are rounding up undocumented immigrants efficiently. Trump claims it's about protecting American jobs and borders, the human cost, families torn apart, dreams shattered, and fear. Next up, we travel to Germany, a country that not too long ago opened its arms to refugees fleeing war and persecution. Remember Willkommenskultur, that beautiful German word for welcoming culture? Yeah, well, it seems that sentiment has gone the way of the dinosaurs. Facing economic pressures and a rise in right-wing populism, Germany has done a complete 180 on its immigration policy. The government argues that it needs to control immigration to protect its social welfare system and maintain social cohesion. But critics argue that these stricter measures are creating a climate of fear and intolerance, with minorities bearing the brunt of the backlash. France, the land of love, croissants and apparently increasingly strict immigration policies. Following a series of terrorist attacks, France has understandably ramped up security measures. But in their efforts to combat terrorism, they've also made it significantly harder for asylum seekers and undocumented immigrants. The French government argues that these measures are necessary to protect its citizens and maintain public order. Next, we set sail for Australia, a nation built by immigrants, albeit ones who arrived by boat a tad earlier than others. Known for its stunning landscapes and, well, terrifying wildlife, Australia is now making headlines for its increasingly harsh immigration policies. The Australian government has taken a hardline stance on undocumented immigrants, particularly those arriving by boat. They've implemented a policy of offshore detention, sending asylum seekers to remote islands for processing, a practice widely condemned by human rights groups. The government argues that these measures are necessary to deter people smuggling and protect Australia's borders. Hold on to your toques, folks, because we're heading north to Canada, a country often seen as a beacon of hope for immigrants. While Canada still accepts a significant number of refugees and economic migrants, the government has quietly been increasing deportations of undocumented immigrants. Citing concerns about security and the economy, Canada has become more selective about who gets to stay and who gets shown the door. This shift in policy has left many feeling betrayed, particularly those who saw Canada as a safe haven. Next, we venture into Russia, a country known for its vast landscapes, rich history, and, let's be honest, somewhat complicated relationship with the West. Russia has always had strict border controls, but in recent years, they've stepped up efforts to deport undocumented immigrants, particularly those from Central Asia. The Russian government cites security concerns and the need to regulate the labor market as reasons for the crackdown. Chapter 7. Brexit Britain out of the EU, out of options. Across the English Channel, we find the United Kingdom, a country still reeling from its very public breakup with the European Union. With the free movement of people a distant memory, the UK government has been busy implementing a points-based immigration system, making it harder for undocumented immigrants to remain in the country. The government argues that these measures are necessary to control immigration and protect British jobs. However, critics argue that these policies are creating a hostile environment for immigrants and damaging the UK's economy. Chapter 8. Italy. From La Dolce Vita to La Stretta, next we journey to Italy, a country known for its art, culture and of course delicious pasta. Italy has long been on the front lines of the European migrant crisis, with thousands of people arriving on its shores from North Africa and the Middle East. In recent years, the Italian government has taken a tougher stance on immigration, increasing deportations and tightening border controls. The government argues that these measures are necessary to manage the influx of migrants and protect Italy's security. Chapter 9, Greece. From cradle of democracy to fortress Europe. Our next stop is Greece, the birthplace of democracy and a country with a long and storied history. But in recent years, Greece has become a flashpoint in the European migrant crisis, as thousands of people fleeing war and poverty have arrived on its shores. Overwhelmed by the influx, the Greek government has implemented stricter border controls and increased deportations. The government argues that these measures are necessary to protect Greece's borders and prevent a humanitarian crisis. Let's head over to Spain, a country known for its vibrant culture, delicious tapas, and increasingly its tough stance on immigration. Spain, like many European countries, has experienced a surge in migration in recent years, particularly from North Africa. In response, the Spanish government has stepped up border patrols, increased deportations, and made it more difficult for undocumented immigrants to live and work in the country. The government argues that these measures are necessary to control immigration and protect Spain's economy. We now venture into Saudi Arabia, a country synonymous with oil wealth, conservative values, and a complex relationship with the West. Saudi Arabia, despite its vast oil wealth, has a long history of relying on migrant labor, particularly from South Asian countries. However, in recent years, the Saudi government has implemented policies aimed at reducing the number of undocumented migrant workers in the country. These policies include crackdowns on businesses employing undocumented workers, increased deportations, and stricter visa regulations. The government argues that these measures are necessary to create more job opportunities for Saudi citizens and regulate the labor market. Our next stop is Israel, a country with a complex history and a geopolitical landscape as intricate as a mosaic. Israel has always had strict immigration controls, largely due to security concerns and its unique status as a Jewish state. In recent years, Israel has faced an influx of African migrants, particularly from Eritrea and Sudan, seeking asylum and a better life. The Israeli government, however, has taken a hardline stance, detaining and deporting many of these migrants, arguing that they are primarily economic migrants rather than refugees. We now travel to South Africa, a nation that has undergone a remarkable transformation from the dark days of apartheid to a multiracial democracy. However, South Africa, despite its progress, faces significant economic challenges, including high unemployment and poverty. These challenges have fueled social tensions, with some South Africans blaming immigrants, particularly those from other African countries, for taking jobs and resources. In recent years, there have been outbreaks of xenophobic violence targeting immigrants, and the government has come under pressure to address concerns about illegal immigration. Next, we journey to Japan, a country known for its technological prowess, unique culture, and, well, let's just say it, its aversion to immigration. Japan has long been one of the most homogeneous societies in the world, and its immigration policies reflect that. The Japanese government has maintained strict immigration controls, making it difficult for foreigners to obtain visas and even harder to settle permanently. While Japan faces a shrinking population and a labor shortage, the government has been reluctant to open its doors to immigrants, opting instead for automation and other solutions. Our final stop takes us to Iran, a country with an ancient civilization, a complex geopolitical role, and a growing challenge on its eastern border. Iran has long hosted a large Afghan refugee population, a legacy of decades of conflict and instability in neighboring Afghanistan. However, with its own economy struggling under the weight of international sanctions and internal pressures, Iran has announced plans to repatriate 2 million undocumented Afghan migrants by March 2025. This announcement has raised concerns about the potential humanitarian consequences, as many Afghan refugees fear returning to a country still grappling with violence and poverty. A whirlwind tour of 15 countries grappling with immigration complexities in 2025. From the US to Iran, Governments are tightening borders and increasing deportations. Policies stem from economic, security, cultural and political concerns. The common thread is the human cost. Real people with real lives, hopes and dreams. Borders are becoming walls and compassion is in short supply.